Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and today's video where I'm going to be showing you even more palettes that have come into my eyeshadow collection. It's rather a surprise because I say all the time I try to keep my collection very manageable, and yet recently in the last several months I've had a surprising influx of new palettes, either through unexpected PR or somebody sharing with me or giving me some pieces of their declutter. I did sell a few, and so I bought a couple on MERCARI which I'd been eyeing for a while, and hey look, a good deal. And then I had somebody trade me for some palettes, so I just wanted to show you some of the newest things in my collection. If you're curious about today's eyeshadow look, I did film it and I will link it down in the description box. I can also card it above here for you, talking about Cosmic Beauty and their new release, Undergrowth. Oh, so pretty. Anyway, one or two of these new palettes I did mention in a previous video. I believe two of them were referenced in a while I was out showing you looks that I've done off camera using these new palettes, and then one I think was part of a trade that I had mentioned. Anyway, let's get right to it. Actually, I have to start with this. This is the Lamora Nude palette. This is an Amazon purchase. It's like $9.99 on Amazon, and I forgot to mention it, but I actually did a reel with this palette a month or two ago, I think. So check my channel if you want to see that, but I just never actually talked about it in a video. This is the dupe for the Natasha I Need a Nude, and I went back and forth on that palette thinking it's pretty, I like the color story, but I know I'm not going to use it all the time. It's just a color story I'd like to have. And so then I started thinking about getting dupes, and I think I was watching Jen Phelps' video on this palette. She's the one who introduced me to the Lamora brand. In her video on this palette, she was swatching them side by side, using them side by side, and she said that in some cases she couldn't tell a difference at all between the palettes themselves, and then she even went so far as to say she preferred this one in some ways to the Natasha Denona. And for the price point, Natasha Denona is what, $69? This is $10. So I thought it was worth a chance, especially for a color story that I'm not going to use all the time. But it gives me this beautiful nude leaning, simple color story that's just so easy to use. If I want something really quick or something really simple or minimal, this is a great option. So I recommend this. I mean, all the palettes I'm talking about today, if they're available, are linked in the description box as well. I know I had used this one on my channel, I just hadn't actually talked about it yet. In my recent mid-year declutter / collection tour video, I mentioned that I was planning on passing along Paletopoly, and so one of my subscribers, one of you guys, hit me up over on Instagram and said, hey, I'd love the Paletopoly palette, would you be open to trading? So she sent me two palettes, both of which are coming up in today's video, one of which is the Hey Reindeer from Udenzai. This was their 2023 Christmas release, this one and Snow Dream, and these palettes were cute. They're not the viral sensation that the Merry Christmas and Christmas Eve were, but they are cute. I think both of the palettes she sent me, she had gotten secondhand, but they were in basically new condition, and she just grabbed them because she knew she liked them. So this is, I think she said, her favorite, or one of her favorite Udenzai palettes, and she was telling me that each time she uses it, she just has so much fun and she can't seem to put it down and reach for other things. So I think that's always a good test of a palette and how it fits with you, if you just don't want to play with other stuff because you're having such a good time. I've used this a couple of times. The looks will be appearing in my next while I was out, and I think it's fun. I think it's cute. I haven't had any problems with the quality. Some people had said that the 22 Christmas palettes were not quite as good in terms of quality. I personally haven't noticed, but I haven't used it extensively either. I just think it's cute and it's a fun color story. So another palette I purchased for myself secondhand, as I do for most of my palettes, and this was a palette that I have been eyeing for a couple of years, honestly. And then I saw Ty from Pigments of the Arcane over on Instagram. She's got beautiful looks. I recommend checking out her Instagram platform if you're interested. She does have a YouTube channel, but I don't know that she has many uploads. Anyway, she did do an upload using this palette and creating 4 beautiful looks, and that was kind of what pushed me over the edge, and so I was waiting for a good deal. Here is the Lure palette, not L-U-R-E from Blend Bunny, but L-O-R-E from Unearthly Cosmetics, formerly Alien Cosmetics. They did rebrand and they did reproduce their older palettes with the new formula and the new logo and everything. So this is a new version. This palette was untouched, and it came in all the original packaging. They have an outer box which has all this padding, then they have the palette inside of an inner box. It's just really well done. I don't love the picture on the front. I might cover it because it might scare my little children, but I don't object to the theme. And I usually have something to say about Unearthly's themes, but this theme, the theme of folklore basically and mystical creatures, that doesn't bother me. It's just the actual picture of Medusa might scare my kids. But anyway, when this palette arrived, I opened it and I literally gasped because It is stunning. I don't know if you guys can see all the shifting shades, but the sparkle and the pigmentation, the saturation of the colors, absolutely striking. Just so beautiful. I literally gasped. I actually said to my friends over on Instagram, this is one of the prettiest palettes I've ever opened. And if you check out Ty's video on YouTube or go to her Instagram account, usually she'll show you a picture of the palette, and then the following several days posts are looks with that palette, so you can easily kind of navigate. Her looks are gorgeous, and they really show the versatility of this palette. So this is my very first palette from Unearthly Cosmetics, and the formula is, it's definitely worth talking about. Okay, here's a palette that I have fought and fought and fought the urge to buy for a couple of years as well. This is from a brand. This is from a brand whose formula is incredible. Such good, high quality formula, especially in the mattes. The shimmers are gorgeous. They're not quite as sparkly as I like, but they are creamy, they are buttery, they are soft, they are pigmented. They just give you this beautiful, elegant, sophisticated wash. That brand is Sydney Grace. Now, Sydney Grace on the whole has pretty neutral leaning, not terribly exciting color stories when they curate a palette. However, they also sell singles. So if you want to make your own color story, they sell beautiful quality singles. I have some Sydney Grace singles. I have the In Mel's Memory bundle. I have some of the Temptalia palettes, and I have Tropicolor. And this is a palette that I went back and forth on so many times. I thought, oh, the color story is nice. Don't love the packaging, but the quality is going to be fantastic. Not sure if I would use all of these colors. You know, I just vacillated back and forth, and finally I found it for a price that I absolutely could not resist. This is the Tiny Marvels palette. Okay, as far as the packaging goes, it's not quite what I was expecting. I don't absolutely adore the design. It's just not really my aesthetic, but it's not too bad. But more specifically, it's very slim. It's a nice size. It feels good in my hands. It's great quality, of course. I think I was expecting the palette itself to be a little bit thicker, which I wouldn't have liked, but this is not. This is not that. This is more compact, more sleek than I was expecting. Now, the color story, it really is beautiful. And the quality is amazing. I have used this once or twice now. It's pretty new. Again, will be featured in my next While I Was Out video. I think what really sold me on this palette, because I was thinking, okay, this BB shade, I'm rarely going to use it. I don't really use golds, but the rest of the colors I knew that I would use, and I know the quality, and I actually find that I don't tend to love shadows in circle pans. I don't know why. It might be because I started with ColourPop and everything feels like ColourPop to me when it's in a circle pan. I'm not sure. It's probably irrational, but I actually really like this because it's in square pans. It's less wasted space. It's more neat and tidy. I feel like my brain can get into it and be creative and not be fighting with the aesthetic of it. I don't know. That might be random. But yeah, I've been trying to find my Sydney Grace Holy Grail, the Sydney Grace palette that I go to because it's just tried and true and I'm going to love it every single time. It's not a real brain bender to try to figure out what colors might work. You just dive in and whatever you do is going to be great. I think this might be the one. And I got it for $15. Couldn't say no. Here is the palette that I've been waiting for in order to film today's video because I knew that I had one more coming in. Again, got it for an amazing price, and it is one I've been eyeing for some time. Natasha Denona released the Yucca palette sometime last year, I think. I kept looking at that palette and I kept thinking, ooh, that's her most colorful, definitely most interesting palette, and the looks I saw, and it looked great. But it's too expensive, and I knew that those yellow-based brown and green tones are not great on me, but I do like those colors, and there are lots of other colors in that palette which I would enjoy. It was a little too much in the cons category, and I kind of felt the same way as I did with the I Need a Nude. I like it, but I know I'm not going to use it all the time, so I'd like to bring it in and have it when I want that, but I don't want to spend too much money to bring that palette into my collection. So, Alter Ego then released the Wildwood palette, and I was watching reviews on this one for some time, and everybody was saying that not only is this an excellent dupe for the Yucca palette, but also it's Alter Ego's best palette yet. Every review that I saw was saying that. I love the packaging and the theme. I wanted to try Alter Ego, and if this was their best palette, their best formula, and their best dupe, I was thinking, well, sure, that's a good price point. I think this goes for $22 on their website. I almost bought it one day, and then I thought, no, I don't have the money to buy it. I just don't. So I left it in my car and walked away. But then several months later, as in like 3 days ago, I was in Mercari, and I had, like I said, sold some palettes, had a Mercari balance, and I saw this palette listed for $5. Plus shipping was under 10. So now I have it. This is a soft touch packaging. It's got a full mirror. It feels very sturdy, very high quality. It feels like Udenzai. It feels like Cosmic Beauty. This feels more sturdy than Gourmand Girls, more sturdy than Blend Bunny palettes that I have. And this is untouched. It's untouched, not even a swatch mark, no fingerprints at all. I'm not sure about the colors because, hold that thought. I went and grabbed my Hella palette from Udenzai. I have consistently said that there are a couple shades in here which just don't work very well on me. These right here. And those are the three that I was thinking of when I was talking myself down from the Yucca palette, because I was thinking it's kind of a whole palette of these sorts of shades. I think that there are differences. For example, in the Hella palette, I'm looking at the shade Wolf. Wolf is kind of a cross between this one, and this one. But Wolf is a lot more, it's got kind of a browny orange tone to it. It's still different. And then Underworld is kind of like these two put together, but still I think a lot more yellow. So I do use these shades in the Hella palette. I do use them. I'm excited to play with Wildwood. I think the theming and the name and the packaging are beautiful, and I think that the color story could work. When I wear greeny, yellowy brown tones, people say that they really bring out my eyes. So I could be wrong about what works on me. I don't know. I have to try it to find out, but I could not say no when I've wanted it for some time, almost bought it at full price and found it for $5. Another palette mentioned and showcased in my most recent while I was out is the What's Up Beauty Dragon Eye palette. I've eyed this one for some time too. I thought it was beautiful when it came out, and I'm really excited that I've got it because it is beautiful. I love the What's Up Beauty formula. The mattes are so easy to work with. They're so buildable and pigmented and blendable and soft and creamy and buttery. And then the shimmers are sparkle. They're just glimmering heaven, and they're beautiful. This is I would say their most interesting color story. It leans the furthest from neutral grounded tones like browns and yellows and tans. It's definitely more purple leaning heavy. It's got these fun pops over here. It's a gorgeous palette, and I'm really excited. Now I have all three. Now I own all three of the What's Up Beauty palettes. Maybe I should see if I can get a promo code with them, because definitely a fan. And finally, when one of my subscribers asked to trade me for Paletopoly, not only did she send me Hey Reindeer, but she also sent me Subculture. Now, Subculture, I was not here on YouTube when Subculture was a thing, when it had its dramatic history. I actually know very little about it, but she was saying that she loves her Subculture palette. She's never had any problems with it. She found one that was more or less untouched, and she was excited to share it with me and see what I thought about it. I do have the ABH Nouveau palette, which I think is great, but that's also like a newer palette. I think that they've rebranded a little bit, reformulated their design aesthetic. This is the older packaging, older design. I will say the color story is lovely, and I did use this palette 2 days ago, and I thought on the whole that I got a really pretty look from it. I'm gonna keep this one around for a little while and see what I can do with it. It's a great palette. It's a great color story going into fall, and I felt like I had to give it a chance because she was so excited about it, and it was part of our trade. So definitely going to play with Subculture a bit and formulate my own opinion on it. Anyway, I need to go have some water. My voice is very hoarse, and it's time to wrap up this video. So thank you so much for being here today. I would love to hear your thoughts as usual. Let me know in the comments, which of these palettes do you have? Do you like them? Would you recommend them? Do you use them? I hope that you'll consider liking and subscribing before you go. If you enjoy this content and you want to see more, remember to check the description box for today's look, among other things, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.